we've looked around the world at some of the questions, and you can look at road pricing. The simplest case is, of course, just a straightforward toll like we have on the 407. But one variation is a combination of we have high occupancy vehicle lanes in some places in Ontario. There's these hot lanes that are very successful elsewhere, which is a high occupancy vehicle lane, which if you have more than one person, you go free, like here. But if you want to go alone, you pay a toll. And that's done some places with some success, so people who are in a hurry can get by. It generates money. The key is to generate revenue, I would argue, to support transit expansion. And that's the link that I would like to see. That's not the link made other places in the world. They do this, various techniques of road pricing, and the money is not necessarily labeled to transit. I would suggest that's the way to go. Beyond that, you can go to some sort of zone system like they do in the famous one in London, England, and Stockholm, other places in Europe, where if you enter certain zones, you pay a fee to enter the zone. It costs you, especially during certain busy hours. And then, places like Singapore have gone a full out road pricing scheme where, where you drive, anywhere on the road system, you're paying something. And obviously, low traffic, low congestion areas, you're paying less, and in high traffic, high congestion areas, you're paying more. These technologies are readily available now. It will take some time to implement, but they are technologies that are out there. That's true, and that's exactly why I'm encouraging it. I mean, it's my job. I mean, if you look at the greenhouse gas situation, the largest source of greenhouse gases is transportation emissions, and we have no significant initiatives. We have, we're trending towards low carbon fuels. We're trying to improve our vehicle efficiency somewhat, but those are good and necessary, but we need something bigger. We need a substantial movement, and we have to have the debate. The government was very reluctant to entertain any discussion of this. Why? Because I think is it because the government is hard pressed against this, or is it because they're concerned that the public isn't interested in this discussion? Well, it's my job to point out and try to get out to the public that this is a discussion we should have. And if people talk about it, maybe we'll get some more comfort with it. Maybe, and people use the 407 every day. They pay big tolls, thousands and thousands of people. So those people are comfortable, at least to that degree. I think absolutely that's the question, and a big public reassurance. And the way you do that is a special purpose account. We do that in other places in Ontario. We have, there's a number of them, but the famous special purpose account was the one for fishing and hunting licenses. But, it's independently, a board is set up of independent people that monitor and make sure those expenditures go where they're supposed to go, which is to support wildlife conservation. And so we have the mechanisms. I know the Ministry of Revenue is not keen on that kind of thing, but nonetheless, it is used in our society to good effect, and here's a way to build public confidence. Here's a way to funnel those funds towards transit. What I'm calling for, I'm saying let's have the discussion. Let's look at the options, because we haven't looked at this technically and things, but certainly a congestion zone is something we should be looking at in downtown Toronto to see if it works. With our system. One of the problems, when London went congestion zone, they put on 300 more buses immediately. Can the TTC and GO cope with it? These are the kind of questions. So I think all the options are available for us to discuss. I'm not sure which ones are reasonable for us to implement. I regret that stalling of transit funding, because I think it sends clearly the wrong message. I mean, if transit is important, if these are priority issues, which they are, then we have to make them the first priority, even in times of constraint. And I regret I appreciate they're trying to be fiscally responsible and resolve a whole lot of conflicting demands. But let's send the right signal, and the signal should be that we have to move from out of our cars, a modal shift, as they call it, into transit, and signaling that that and funding transit is as a priority is one way of doing that. I appreciate Metrolinx has got a tough job, and they have to they know the detailed numbers, and I don't. But their initiative will increase. They're projecting like a 2% increase in the modal shift over what would happen anyway if the big move gets put in place. If we look at the full suite of things that are available and initiatives dealing with road pricing and the price of gasoline potentially as well, you can make much larger modal shifts from 24 to 26%. Good, but very modest. Get over 30%, and that start making up other major cities in the world are over 50%. Well, I think the days of sprawl are probably limited anyway, if in terms of limiting sprawl. I mean, I don't know if you've been on the 400 and look, people trying to get in from Vaughan and Barrie in the morning and down the 404. We're at about our capacity limit to car commute, and certainly no huge increase I don't see. But I think that the key, the one opportunity is, road pricing is difficult from the sprawled outer suburbs, but carpooling isn't. And carpooling can substantially cut the number of trips, and it would really suit those kinds of, those kind of commuters that come in, even if they carpool down to transit. So there are options that are not expensive options. Yes, it was less in terms of cars on the road, but there was an expansion in the economic activity, and so it was reflected. It was able to keep it's not so many, how many entering the zone. There were cars entering the zone increased, but they were going faster. There was less congestion, and there was far more economic activity given the car development. As you know, there was several good years of economy in Britain, not so much anymore. But no, I think it's a broad consensus that it's worked well in those cities. Much better than what would have happened if they had done nothing. Well, it's not driving if they're going to back off. I mean, clearly, driving means driving. Driving means it's your priority. It's your out in front of it. That's what's leading. So it's the first thing you're funding. But if you say, if you back off in the funding, delay it, you're sending a message, this is a nice to have. And what I'm saying, it's not a matter of a nice to have. It's an essential to have. And it should be out there as an essential priority funding.